Welcome to your daily dose of Sunday School, episode 98. We continue with Greg Kokel's tactics. We are finishing up the last chapter, More Sweat, Less Blood. And he tells a story about talking to some Jehovah's Witnesses, and he pretty quickly lays his hand out on the table that he knows what he's talking about. And, if you say something like, I believe in Jehovah Jesus, and Jesus who is Jehovah, Yahweh, they'll know that you know the difference between them. What they try to do is pretend they're exactly the same as Christians, maybe like one minor point of difference that they try to entice you with, but otherwise they try to pretend they're exactly the same, which nothing could be further from the truth. So they're very different, but if they find out you know what you're talking about, then they are going to leave and not come back. So these Jehovah's Witnesses, they're leaving his porch, and he's like, man, I kind of blew it because they were, he's kind of left like, hey, what where are you going? And but they're gone. And he thinks about this incident, and he says, okay, we don't want to be like them, because clearly they're not confident in their message. Why should you be afraid of any expert if you are confident in the truth of your message? We shouldn't be like that. They were like that. We don't want to be like that. They took off running because they were trained not to try to face somebody who had knowledge. And also, they weren't interested in his salvation. They believed they had the way of salvation. And yet, because he was smart and knew what was going on, they didn't want to talk to him. Now, we shouldn't be like that at all, because we should be concerned for all people who don't know Christ, whether they're experts or not, because God can change their hearts through the Holy Spirit. They also did not take the issue of truth seriously. Because, if there was something that could disprove them, shouldn't they want to hear it? Okay. Now, I'm not saying that we leave that possibility open. But that goes back to the first one, that we should be confident in our message then. That we're not afraid to hear somebody who's smarter than us. Shouldn't even be afraid to be for someone to wipe the floor with us in a debate. There are worse things that could happen that maybe people say, ha, you got beat, but we confessed Christ. That should be a success for us. Remember Matthew 10:24 and 25. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the disciple to be like his teacher, and the servant like his master. If they call the master of the house Beelzebul, how much more will they malign those of his household? So Kokel has taught us, I think he's done a great job, and I would recommend you go buy the book. I think it's Koukle, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, look up Tactics and Greg on Amazon. I'm sure you'll find it. Really great book. But reminded us that he's helped us to see that we can have friendly conversations with people about the faith, and we don't have to be afraid. And I think as far as the youth in my youth group, I think you've been trained well over the years that you shouldn't be afraid to go out and talk to people, talk to friends. So it is possible to have friendly conversations about this. But do remember, as Jesus said, that sometimes you're going to be maligned, criticized. You're not going to be given a fair shake. That is part of suffering with Christ. That's actually God is identifying you with his son in those instances. So we should not be, I know it's not fun. It's not fun for anybody. But then there's also an honor to it that you are being identified with Christ. And Kokel makes this statement, which I don't think I've quoted from him because I don't have the book physically in front of me. It's limited what I can do. But I did write this one down and I thought it was good. No child of a sovereign God whom we can call our Father is ever a victim or a minority. So what's he saying? We don't get a fair shake in an argument. We are confident in God's power, God's sovereignty, that God is a father to us, that Christ is our brother. And so we have a whole different mindset about getting insulted, being treated unfairly in a debate. It's, we don't have to feel like, oh, the world's out of whack and our world is falling apart because someone treated this way. No, this is part of our heritage, part of identifying with Christ, and we can have a different mindset than the world when we're treated badly. Kokel closes with several encouragements. Know the truth. That's what we need to keep studying, keep reading our Bible, keep learning, look up apologetics resources. We want to push beyond our comfort zone. Again, you don't have to win every debate. You have to confess Christ. But it's okay to talk to somebody you're like, this guy's really smart, and you're intimidated by them. That's okay. Don't be discouraged by appearances. So you're like, man, that conversation didn't go well at all. And yet, you might be surprised. You might be surprised how God uses it. You might be surprised how God uses your patience. You might even left that conversation like, wow, I was kind of a jerk. I wish I hadn't. And that still somebody sees some grace in you, and God uses it. And then we want to live out the virtues of a good ambassador. We're trying to represent Christ as best we can by the help of His Spirit.